Listen, I'm not going to get all misty-eyed about the staggering leaps and bounds that technology seems to insist upon travelling in. What I will say is that 10 years ago I was sat on my couch watching BBC's Planet Earth, listening to David Attenborough talk about the cutting-edge gimbal technology they used to film the series with. 10 years later, I'm stood in front of you right now. BBC's Planet Earth 2 has just premiered, and apparently I'm about to film a review about the very same technology. Perhaps better known as one of the leading drone manufacturers, DJI originally took the stabilization and camera technology from their award-winning prosumer drones and transplanted it into an easy-to-use handheld stabilized camera, the DJI Osmo. While the result was a success, many users commented that despite being 4K, the camera's footage fell some way short of the quality they were accustomed to with their own smartphones. DJI listened to the feedback and launched the Osmo Mobile, a joystick-equipped handle that combines their aforementioned 3-axis gimbal technology with a grip to add the very best camera that most people own, a smartphone. The result is a win-win. By nixing the camera technology from their overall Osmo package, they were able to reduce costs and offer a lower price point than the Osmo, while at the same time ensuring that the Osmo Mobile will never fall behind as camera technology advances. Essentially, as long as the user's phone is cutting edge, then so is the Osmo Mobile. As soon as you pick it up, it's clear that the Osmo Mobile is incredibly well built. Quality, weighty materials and metals give the impression not only that this is a premium device, but that it could also withstand its fair share of knocks. This is further reinforced by the tutorial, which advises that the gimbal can also be manipulated by hand. Featuring a standard screw in the side of the handle, the Osmo Mobile can also be attached to a tripod, which just adds to the device's practicality. The thumbstick, used to control the direction of the camera, feels similar to the likes of which you might find on a Sony PSP handheld game system and offers a satisfying amount of resistance. The other main component, the grip used to firmly clasp your phone in place, can support almost all phones, though there are some phablets that may require the removal of cases to fit. As soon as you've altered the grip to balance the device for your phone, which is easier said than done, simply navigate to the DJI Go app and you're good to go. Or, depending on your phone, you should be. For all the simplicity of operating the device itself, and more on that later, DJI Go is the one area that makes the Osmo Mobile really quite tricky to review. But before we broach the subject of compatibility, let's look at some of the shooting modes available. Starting with arguably the most impressive feature, the Go app gives the ability to track a chosen subject. Simply by drawing a square around a subject on screen, the app will tell the Osmo Mobile which direction to face the camera. This means it's entirely possible to walk alongside a friend while the device continues to film their face. Or you can attach the device to a tripod and have the camera follow you around the room. It's incredibly neat and for the most part works really well. If you're feeling narcissistic, you could just switch to the selfie camera for a lower quality, lower resolution video. Or you could just use the thumbstick to maneuver the phone's superior rear camera to face you. Time-lapse is a really nice addition, but the real treat here is M-time-lapse, or motion time-lapse. Set the device up on a tripod, select the starting point, the finish point, and the duration between the photos, and the Osmo Mobile will create beautiful sweeping time-lapses of your surroundings. Now it's on this note that I approach the area that makes the Osmo Mobile tough to review. You see, the issue here is compatibility. I have a Galaxy S7, the newest of Samsung's phones, or at least the most recently released one that doesn't explode if you don't pay it enough attention, so you'd think it would benefit from the full range of features available. Well, after noticing that my motion time-lapse footage seemed a little less sharp than the regular footage, I discovered that its resolution was actually capped at 1080p versus 4K of the regular footage. Further investigation led me to discover that the iPhone 7's Go app offered motion time-lapse in 4K. More frustratingly, after exploring a number of avenues of support, from email to website chat support, official forums and Twitter, I was repeatedly told that no smartphone, iPhone 7 or otherwise, could offer 4K motion time-lapse. I even sent screenshots of the iPhone 7 time-lapse file that my friend sent me, proving that it was in 4K, but was instead informed that this was impossible, or at best, simply inexplicable. So we've got two issues here. We've got an app that limits the functionality of certain very capable phones, and we've got support staff who don't even know what their product can do. It just sort of feels like hardware development's done in-house, whereas the app development's outsourced to a team completely ill-equipped to deal. After spending an embarrassing amount of time on the official forums, I've also learnt that the issue extends to just standard footage. A number of Android devices don't support 4K, and some don't even support Full HD. There are also a number of posts that claim that footage from the iPhone 6s, 7 and 7 Plus features a slight shuddering effect, as the phone's inbuilt hardware stabilization systems compete with the Osmo Mobiles. The long and short of it is this. Compatibility really isn't advertised any place that I can find, so I recommend you go to the official forums, search for your phone and just see if there are any compatibility issues there. Again, it's still possible to record using your phone's inbuilt camera app, so you'd still be able to film in 4K if you had a 2-year-old LG G3 for example. You'd just miss out on a few features that the app provides, such as subject tracking and motion time-lapse. Anyway, now that we trudged through the mire that is questionable compatibility, let's look at some more positive things, like the experience of actually using the device. Sitting extremely comfortably in one hand, the Osmo Mobile puts a thumbstick and a cluster of buttons within thumb's reach. The thumbstick controls motion on both the vertical and horizontal axes, while the button with a big red dot unsurprisingly begins and ends your recording. Finally, the larger button takes still images. I did find the size and placement of this button a bit odd, as stills really aren't my priority when using the Osmo Mobile. Not only that, but the capture options are also extremely limited. Around the back is a trigger that reminds me of the Z trigger from an N64 controller. The trigger offers 3 different functions in total. Holding the trigger down fixes the camera in its current position, meaning you can move the handle and the camera will continue to face the same direction. This is an extremely neat effect, and I found particularly useful when shooting objects at a distance while maneuvering yourself around. Tapping the trigger twice resets the phone to its starting, neutral position. I tend to only use this whenever I feel like I've lost control through overambition, or when I don't need a smooth pan and wish to start filming an entirely new sequence. Tap the trigger 3 times and you'll switch between the rear and the front camera. And finally, holding the trigger down and moving the thumbstick back and forth will operate the camera's digital zoom. Now that we've looked at the controls, it's time to explore the different operation modes. There are 4 different ways to hold and shoot with the Osmo Mobile, and all of them are accessed by the manner in which you hold it. Beginning with the standard upright mode, you really won't be surprised to see how you access this one. Yep, there it is. Underslung is accessed by simply flipping the Osmo upside down, at which point the device will flip the footage, enabling you to film from a lower angle. Flashlight mode is accessed by tilting the Osmo 90 degrees forwards, as you would... well look, you're not stupid. While this removes the thumbstick's ability to turn the camera to the right or left, which is instead achieved by simply pointing the device in the direction you want, it still allows the ability to tilt the phone up or down. Finally, you have portrait mode, for fans of vertical video. Though honestly, why you'd want to spend $300 to shoot vertical video, I'm not sure. I guess it'd kind of be like buying a bed and sleeping on it widthways. Now, I know what you're thinking, Snapchat and Instagram stories only allow vertical video. Well, look, that's true, but they also require you to hold your finger down on the on-screen recording button, which, in practice, overrides the stabilization, pushing your phone away from the intended subject. You could record in portrait mode first, then upload to Snapchat or Stories, but that's neither quick nor easy, which is sort of the purpose of those apps. On the whole, the Osmo Mobile is incredibly satisfying to use and very simple. The stabilization effect is stunning, and sometimes watching back the footage, you'll struggle to believe that it was you that recorded it. The only minor complaint with the hardware is that it does take a while to feel like you've mastered it. Panning in particular can feel a little oversensitive at times, which can occasionally create an awkwardly overly fast pan from right to left. To remedy this, I quickly learnt that the trick was to use the thumbstick as little as possible, instead encouraging the device to pan by swinging the Osmo Mobile the direction you want. But really, other than picking up simple tricks as you go along, the Osmo Mobile is a dream to use, and I really don't say that lightly. Because there are 2 factors at play here, your phone and the Osmo Mobile, I wanted to ensure that the battery test I carried out was rigorous, but also clearly and fairly defines what each battery can be expected to achieve. Now, I'll be honest, the test was so mundane, as you might expect. Essentially, I sat at my desk with the Osmo Mobile attached to a tripod. All the time, active tracking is set to track my head while I work. I knew the Osmo Mobile would outlast my phone, so every time the S7 ran out of battery, I switched off the Osmo Mobile, charged the phone back to 100% before beginning the cycle again until the Osmo Mobile reached 0%. So in terms of the findings, essentially after 2 hours and 7 minutes of solid recording and tracking, the S7 ran flat, at which point the Osmo Mobile had 56% battery left. After charging and beginning again, by the time the S7 ran flat this time, an hour and 59 minutes later, the Osmo Mobile still had 12% battery left in the tank. Finally, as the S7 reached 79% battery during its 3rd battery cycle, after a total time of 4 hours and 31 minutes, the Osmo Mobile breathed its last. It's worth saying that the S7 figure is likely up there with the longest you can expect from the current crop of phones. It is generally considered the flagship with the best battery on the market, and Fast Charge 2 will take it from 0% to 100% in 90 minutes. My only complaint about the battery is that it just requires this bizarre proprietary charging cable. Would it have really been so hard to include a micro USB or a USB-C instead of what looks like a repurposed headphone jack? I mean, did DJI just have a stockpile that came in days before Apple announced they were axing their headphone port? Either way, ultimately the biggest concern when it comes to battery life will be your phone battery and not the Osmo Mobile. In fact, I bought the device bundled with an extra battery and I honestly don't think I'll ever need it. Honestly, it is frustrating that due to app limitations, at present, there's no perfect phone for the Osmo Mobile. Complaints from Apple users concern shuddery footage caused by the iPhone 6s and 7 hardware stabilization, whereas Android users are left scratching their heads to varying degrees about restrictive resolutions. If you can get past these shortcomings, and if you're willing to accept that there's likely to be some sort of compromise when it comes to app functionality and stabilization, then the Osmo Mobile can be everything that you'd hope it'd be. In the past year, I've filmed both a New York to LA and a Pacific Coast Highway road trip on my phone without any stabilization. As much as I love the end results of both, editing always left me with a difficult choice of either leaving shaky footage in place or resorting to that wavy effect that digital stabilization tends to create. The bottom line is that Osmo Mobile changed all of that. I did honestly and ah about picking one up just simply due to the $300 price tag, but I can also honestly say that in a short space of time, simply due to the impact that it's had on the quality of my output, it is worth it, and probably then some. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this review useful. I do have more reviews coming, and I've also previously made some here. You can probably click them. Please like, please subscribe, please don't criticize me if I'm not pointing in the right direction, and thanks again for watching.